Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm going to be filming a book haul. Payday came and payday went, and I ordered quite a few books. I pre-ordered a few books, and here they all are in their glory. There's quite a few here, but they're all very different, I think. Quite a varied array here. It does seem to sort of coincide for me that if I am reading a lot, I'm also buying a lot, which I think is why my TBR always stays about the same. However, yeah, let's just talk about the books that I've picked up. The first one is one of two, with the second that hasn't arrived yet, and both by the same author, which is Sarah Jane Blakemore. This one is also by Jutta Frith, and it was recommended to me by one of the, well, by Arsenko at school. We were learning, we did training on attachment and children with attachment issues, and she recommended, she was talking during this session about the brain and the adolescent brain and how we learn, and the various different things that can affect the learning brain of children. And so she recommended these books, and so I've picked them up because I want to do some reading over the summer. This one's called The Learning Brain, Lessons for Education, and it looks at all the things that we sort of know about how the brain learns, and this sort of plasticity, it says, of the adolescent and adult brain, and it talks about you know, what do we know about how the brain learns and the implication that has for educational policy and practice. So I just think that sounds like it's going to be a really interesting read, actually, and I've heard that it is readable, which is good. The next one was actually recommended to me by one of you. If you've seen my various videos on Truman Capote and Harper Lee and the books that I read by them, I read a book called Swans by Kaylee Lee Jepcott recently and really enjoyed it, and one of you recommended The Swans of Fifth Avenue by Melanie Benjamin, and so I picked it up. I bought it for myself second hand, as I often do, and I'm really looking forward to delving yet more into this sort of really interesting time. Whereas Swans tended, I think, well, I felt, focused more on Truman Capote and his swans, this one I feel is going to be more focusing on Babe. Her name was Babe Paley, and her friends. I think it's going to be more focused on their outlook, and then touching on Truman Capote and his influence on what he wrote about them and the scandal that sort of went with that. So I think this sounds really good, so thank you to whoever recommended this one to me. Most of these books that I'm going to talk about now have been recommended from other people's channels, BookTube channels. This particular one, I mean, I've just been seeing everywhere and everyone is raving about it, and she is undoubtedly one of my favourite authors, and that is Shauna Maguire, and this is Middlegame. Now, so many people have talked about this, raved about it, said how good it is, but yet I don't know much about it. From what I can gather from the blurb, it is about Roger and Dodger, and they are twins, and one of them is skilled in storytelling, the other is skilled in mathematics. They are not quite human, but not quite gods, somewhere in between. And then there is the person that was their creator, who is an alchemist, and it is about his endeavour to raise them up to become gods, I think. But I've heard amazing things. I love all her writing, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what I think of this one for myself and telling you a bit more about what it's actually about. I picked up Virtually Yours by Savina Tash, because I've heard so many other people say what a sweet romance it is. It's about a woman, she's kind of giving up on romance. She broke up with her boyfriend Caleb, and she hasn't really found anyone since, but she finds this coupon that's about to expire for this virtual dating service, and so she goes ahead and she's matched with 3 people, one of whom is Caleb, the other is her in real life best friend, and I don't know who the third is, but yeah, I think this is going to be a fun and light romantic contemporary read. I was really impressed by Laura Wood's Sky Painted Gold. It wasn't really my idea of what I wanted in a book. I don't really tend to veer towards a sort of Gatsby-ish settings and stories. And so I read this one for part of a project I've been doing because it was up for an award, and I was pleasantly surprised. I really actually enjoyed it thoroughly, and so I decided to pick up her latest book, which is Under a Dancing Star. This one isn't set in England, it's set in Italy, and it's about a girl in the 1930s. Her parents want her married off, but she just wants to go on adventures. She goes to stay with her uncle in Italy. She meets a man and they fall in love. He's an artist. There's some sort of challenge that's set. I'm not sure how it all comes about, but they look set to sort of have this sort of romance, but apparently one of the rules is not to fall in love. So I don't know what this is going to be like, but I loved her writing. I really loved her way of evoking atmosphere and the characters, so I'm looking forward to reading this one now too. Okay, so a book by Sally Thorn, who wrote The Hating Game, that I just thought sounded interesting, was 99% Mine. This is about a woman, when she was 8 she fell in love with her twin brother's best friend. Nothing ever sort of came of it. He didn't ever seem interested. All of a sudden the twins inherit this place that they have to sort of do up. The friend arrives to help, and I'm sure there's going to be some sort of romance and yeah, hopefully some steamy times, and I really just look forward to delving into these sort of romances. I'm going on holiday in August for a week, just to sort of an all-inclusive, sit by a pool, enjoy the sunshine holiday, so I'm going to definitely be taking all these sort of rom-com-y books with me there. Next I picked up a book that has been on my radar for ages and I just haven't sort of got round to picking it up. It's a book called Front Desk by Kelly Yang. I think this might be a middle grade book, but it just sounds so much fun. I'll read you the back. It says, Maya Tang has a lot of secrets. Number one, she lives in a motel, not a big house. Every day while her immigrant parents clean the rooms, 10-year-old Mia manages the front desk of the Cali Vista motel and tends to its guests. Number two, her parents hide immigrants. And if the mean motel owner, Mr. Yao, finds out they've been letting them stay in the empty rooms for free, the Tangs will be doomed. Number three, she wants to be a writer. But how can she when her mum thinks she should stick to math because English is not her first language? It will take all of Mia's courage, kindness and hard work to get through this year. Will she be able to hold on to her job, help the immigrants and guests, escape Mr. Yao and go for her dreams? I've just heard amazing things about this from everybody that's read it. It's won a Children's Literature Award. Yeah, I just think it sounds really good, so I'm pleased I finally picked this one up. I've been going through a bit of a Nicholas Sparks kick in terms of films, and I think I literally watched all of the films that are out there by him, like based on his books, in about a week. I was just on a bit of a kick. I haven't actually ever read any Nicholas Sparks books themselves, but I feel like if I like the stories cinematically, hopefully I'm going to like the books as well. I've got a couple on my shelf, but there was a couple more that I was interested in. The first one is 2 by 2. And this is about Russell Green. He has a loving family, a successful career and a beautiful house, but underneath his world cracks are starting to appear, and no one is more surprised than Russ when the life he took for granted is turned upside down. Finding himself single-handedly caring for his young daughter while trying to launch his own business, the only thing he knows is that he must shelter his little girl from consequences of these changes. As he embarks on this unexpected new chapter, he encounters a chance encounter will challenge him to find happiness beyond anything he could have imagined. So hopefully a bit of a tearjerker, who knows. And then I also picked up Every Breath by Nicholas Sparks, which I think might be one of his newest books. So this one I think is going to be dual perspective. We have a young woman, she's with a man she's not sure she wants to be with anymore, this boyfriend. She finds out her father's ill, and so she ends up going back home to North Carolina to sort of see him. And then there is a man coming over from Zimbabwe who has received a letter saying that this person writing the letter is his real father, and can he come back? And then we're following sort of the background to this young man's mother's life. So I think there's going to be some various points of view and different timelines here, probably all tying together and culminating, but with some sort of revelation at the end. But yeah, I think it sounds like it's going to be an emotional ride. The next one I picked up because on this month's TBR I had a trilogy that I wanted to get through by this author. I read it, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy Beth Garrett's writing style and the way that she evoked these well-rounded characters, and she's got a new one out, so I thought I would like to pick it up, and that is called Take a Chance on Me. So in this, our main character has had a fairly embarrassing first kiss, and everybody knows about it. It's become a bit of a laughing thing. She's feeling a little bit embarrassed, and so she ends up going off to this Greek island for her summer holidays, where her favourite movie star sort of crush is filming, and I think there's sort of 3 boys on the scene. It reminds me a little bit of Mamma Mia, and that's not a bad thing, and I just think it sounds like it's going to be a fun, and I really liked the main characters in the Awkward series, so I'm hoping that this one will have just as much a fun and awkward and interesting voice. And then the final 2 books came from my recent trip to the book warehouse, which is near me. They open once a month, they open their doors, books are 80% off, and I saw 2 that, one I knew the author of and had sort of read one of the books before, and one that I'd never heard of but just sounded really interesting. So the one that I had heard of that I've read a book called Blue by is this one. It's called Ride by Lisa Glass. Now I'd be interested if anybody has read Lisa Glass, whether on the back here it's got Blue and then Air and then this one. Now do they have to be read in order? Are they a trilogy or are these all standalones? Because they all seem to be about surfing, but I'm not sure if they come as a series or not, and whether I need to read the other one. But this one is about a surfer, a 17-year-old professional surfer called Iris, who's been around the globe. Now she's back in her hometown. She's putting her career on hold and leaving behind this boy who changed her world, but she just wants to find her passion for surfing again, spend some time with her family, but she discovers that maybe that's not as simple as she thought. So yeah, I remember really enjoying Blue, but I'm not sure why I didn't pick up Air, or whether these need to go together. So as I say, if you do know, let me know. And then the last one I picked up, it just sounded really fun. It's called The Lonely Hearts Cinema Club by David M. Barnett. And this one is set in university, which I really enjoy because it's that little bit step further away from YA, just a slightly older, but it's still got that same sort of feeling to me. It's still got that youthful feeling of people still trying to find their way in the world, which I really enjoy reading about. I'll read you the blurb of this because it just sounds brilliant. It says, 20-year-old Jenny is struggling to make friends at university and moves to Sunset Promenade to escape her problems. Her roommates are a little older than she was expecting. Sunset Promenade is a private nursing home, taking in students to save money. At first the new residents clash, but when Jenny introduces a movie night, the group realises they have more in common than they think. In the spirit of his bestseller Calling Major Tom, David M. Barnett introduces a cast of quirky yet lovable characters who explore the aches of being young and the pains of being old. The Lonely Heart Cinema Club is an uplifting story about community and belonging that will leave you with a spring in your step no matter how old you are. So I just think this sounds really good. I haven't looked up its Goodreads rating. I'll put it here. But I just think it sounds like it's going to be a really fun and heartwarming story, really. So anyway, that's all the books that I've bought recently. There's a lot, I know, and but I'm reading a lot at the moment, so I'm happy to be buying books, and I'm buying most of them secondhand. So yes, no regrets at all. Let me know if you've read any of these. What are your thoughts on Nicholas Sparks? Do you like Nicholas Sparks? Have you read any of his writing? Do you prefer his films? Let's chat about that in the comments down below, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.